Today we're talking about the part of your plants that controls everything. Not the leaves, not the flowers, not the fruit, but the part you can't see, the roots. And that's exactly why you can water, fertilize, stake, and tend your tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, or zucchini like crazy and still end up with a disappointing harvest. While your neighbors are pulling in twice much, you're fighting yellowing leaves, small fruit, empty blossoms, and plants that just won't take off. It's not just about the sun, it's not just about the soil. And it's definitely not about dumping more expensive fertilizer on top. When the root system down below is weak, the whole plant above stays weak. Because the truth is brutally simple. If you double your root mass, you transform the entire plant. More roots mean more access to water, more nitrogen, more phosphorus, more calcium. This isn't some gardening myth. This is your plant's water and nutrient pipeline. A plant with weak roots can starve even when everything it needs is sitting right there in the soil beneath it. Today I'm going to show you a simple method that costs less than $1 that you can put together at home in a short amount of time. And that will make your plant's roots explode. Not someday, not at the end of the season, but almost overnight. So fast, you'll understand why the most important growth boost your plants will ever get always starts underground. Stick around, because once you understand how to build more root power down below, you'll never treat your plants from the top only again. Now let me show you how to make it. It costs almost nothing. You can produce it in your kitchen in half an hour, and you apply it just once. Your plant's roots will then start multiplying. This doesn't take months, it takes just a few days. By the end of this video, you'll understand why no garden center can ever sell you this in a bottle. The star of this recipe is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. That's the scientific name for ordinary baker's yeast, the same powder you use for pizza dough. Most people think of yeast as a single-purpose tool. Add sugar, bubbles form, the bread rises. End of story. That doesn't even come close to the full picture. Yeast is a single-celled fungus, and like all living fungi, it releases a whole cocktail of compounds as it grows. Studies published in journals like Crop Science, Agronomy, and Frontiers in Industrial Microbiology have documented exactly what's in that cocktail. Let me walk you through it step by step. First, the hormones. Saccharomyces cerevisiae produces two of the most powerful plant regulators in nature, auxins and cytokinins. Auxins, specifically indole-3-acetic acid, is the core signal that tells a plant cell to elongate, divide, and form a new root. Cytokinins act on the growing tips and signal cells to multiply rapidly. When you introduce these compounds into the root zone, you're flooding it with the exact chemical messengers that drive plant growth. Second, the nutrition. As yeast cells multiply, they release amino acids, B vitamins, trace minerals, and peptides into the water. These aren't ordinary fertilizers. They're pre-digested building blocks that the plant can absorb almost instantly without having to break them down first. The difference is like setting a steak in front of someone versus giving them a protein infusion directly into their bloodstream. Third, the defenders. A 2014 report in Crop Science found that yeast cells colonize the root zone. They battle harmful pathogens. They release glycopeptides that activate the plant's own immune system. Your plants grow protected. A study on Mexican corn showed that auxin-producing yeasts produced a 1.5-fold increase in plant height, fresh weight, and root length compared to untreated plants. A 2024 study on the reuse of spent brewery yeast confirmed significant improvements in seed germination and seedling development. This isn't folk wisdom, this isn't just tradition. This is documented, peer-reviewed science. And that brings us to the obvious question: if this is so effective, so cheap, so powerful, and so scientifically backed, why isn't it sold in every garden center in the world? The answer has two parts. Part 1, it simply can't be bottled. A bottle of synthetic fertilizer is dead. It's a sealed container of mineral salts. It has a 5-year shelf life. It can sit in a warehouse at 110 degrees and still be the exact same product when it reaches the buyer. A bottle of live yeast is the exact opposite. The moment yeast gets sugar and water, it starts working. It produces carbon dioxide. It produces alcohol. Pressure builds inside the container. After a week, you don't have a fertilizer anymore. You've got a bomb. The few commercial biostimulant producers who do ship charge $40 to $70 for a tiny pouch because shipping requires refrigeration and the product degrades quickly. Part 2, it destroys the business model. You only need to learn this recipe once. After that, you'll never buy rooting hormone again. You'll never buy a seedling booster again. The entire revenue stream that comes from selling little bottles of liquid biology to home gardeners disappears. It gets replaced by a packet of yeast. That's why fermented yeast water isn't on the shelf. The shelf can't store it, and the shelf can't make money off it, so we make it ourselves. Here's how. Listen carefully now, because almost everyone makes a critical mistake on the small details. You need 3 things: 1 liter of lukewarm water, 2 tablespoons of dry yeast, about 20 grams, 1 teaspoon of sugar, white or brown, that's it, nothing more, about $1. Step 1. Temperature decides everything. The water needs to be lukewarm, roughly body temperature. If you stick your finger in and it feels neither warm nor cold, you're right on the money. If the water is too hot, you'll kill the yeast. If it's cold, the yeast cells stay dormant and nothing happens at all. Be precise and everything will work out. Step 2. Mix. Pour the lukewarm water into a glass container first. Then add the 2 tablespoons of yeast, followed by the teaspoon of sugar. Stir thoroughly until everything is completely dissolved. A note on the sugar: it's the spark that wakes the yeast colony up and signals it to start multiplying. No sugar means no fermentation. No fermentation means no hormones, no amino acids, no biostimulant. Step 3. Cover the container, but don't seal it airtight. Fermenting yeast produces gas, and a sealed bottle will burst. Use a loose lid, a paper towel secured with a rubber band or a piece of cloth. The whole point is to block out UV rays from the sun completely while still letting the gases escape. Ultraviolet light damages the active yeast cells before they've finished doing their job. Step 4. Wait 30 to 40 minutes. Not more, not less. There are 2 specific signs to watch for. Look for a foamy beige cap forming on the surface and for tiny bubbles continuously rising through the liquid. When you see foam and bubbles, your yeast is alive. The colony is multiplying. The hormones, the vitamins, the amino acids are now in the water. Your concentrate is ready. It's time for the next step. Step 5. Dilute. Do not skip this step. Whatever you do, do not pour this concentrate directly onto your plants undiluted. It is many times too strong. The yeast concentration is high enough to disrupt the soil microbiome and burn delicate root hairs. The ratio is 1 to 10. 1 liter of yeast concentrate goes into 10 liters of plain water. Use rainwater, dechlorinated tap water, or water that's been left to sit out. Stir well. Now you have 11 full liters of activator. Apply the mixture directly at the base of the plant. Saturate the soil thoroughly until it's completely soaked, but not flooded. Don't spray this on the leaves. That would require different preparation. We're feeding the roots, so we water the soil. The best times to use this recipe are as follows. At transplanting, when seedlings move from the seed tray into the ground, this is the single moment of greatest impact. The plant is stressed, vulnerable, and actively reaching for new roots. The auxins in your mixture will trigger explosive root growth within 48 hours. At the start of flowering, when the plant is deciding how much fruit it can carry, stronger roots mean more blossoms held and less drop. When the first fruits appear, to meet the intense nutrient demands of the developing crop. That's 3 applications per growing season. Don't overdo it. This is not a weekly fertilizer. It's a targeted biological intervention. Applied correctly, 3 treatments in a season are enough to fundamentally transform the plant. Applied too frequently, you'll completely throw off the entire microbial balance of your soil. This works on cucumbers, peppers, strawberries, zucchini, eggplant, beans, tomatoes, and nearly every flowering ornamental in your garden. It's especially effective on anything you've started from seed or cuttings. Within 72 hours of the first application, the plant will look more upright and vigorous. Leaves will stand firmer. The color will deepen. Within a week, you'll see new growth. Not just leaf growth, but a clearly visible thickening of the main stem. The real action is happening underground where you can't see it. The root system below is branching aggressively. Lateral roots are shooting out in every direction. The plant is building the engine that will carry it through the entire growing season.